today is Atlantic time, right? And what I was trying to tell you is okay, that is the face of the tooth. Right? And this portion is the gullet. I think that's how you spell it. It's the gullet. Okay. When you're sharpening the blade, you want to take some off here, because here you're going to get cracks. And if you take them out, they can't continue splitting into the blade and have your blade break on you, right? So you got to take some off of the back side, right? You got to take some off of the back side, and you got to take some off of the face. Now, there's an angle to that rake. It's called the rake. What am I doing? The rake angle, okay, for hardwood, (7 to 10 degrees), right? And for softwood, 12.5 to 15 degrees. I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay. Rake angle, 7 to 10 degrees, hardwood, and 12 to 15 for softwood. Okay, these are the recommendations on this particular sharpener. Now, what I was telling you a few minutes ago about sharpening, now the grinding wheel should be sharpened as such. Okay, now if I blow this up a bit, it should be like this. Okay, this surface here will be grinding the rake. Okay, this surface here the backside of the rake. Okay, now if I grind this down or surface this grinding wheel larger like this, I'm not going to be removing anything off of the backside, off of the I won't be removing any material here. The closer or the shorter the distance from the end here, from here to here, the more material I'm removing here, off of the back of the tooth. Okay? Now, if I made it larger, I'd be making a tooth that is too high. Okay? Tooth height should be should be 3/16 of an inch. So you've got to make sure that this is short enough to only leave 3/16 of an inch. That is the optimal tooth height. And you should, now as you sharpen and you sharpen more and more, this side gets rounded off a bit. Okay? You'll know when to regrind your wheel when you start seeing curvature here and the distance from here to here is no longer sufficient. It should be around 3/16 of an inch, and that's what should be 3/16 of an inch, the tooth height from here to here. Now if that starts to round off more, that flat surface gets shorter and shorter and shorter. At a moment in time, this is going to be like this. It's not going to be worth anything. You need a flat surface and then a small tiny radius at the end. That'll ensure that there's no sharp edges or corners, because that's where something will break if it does, because this blade is continually being twisted as it goes around. So that blade it's like taking a piece of metal. After a while, bend, 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 it'll break. But it's going to break where you have a sharp corner or a sharp edge. So it's important to have a small radius and have at least 3/16 of an inch face. The face of the rake should be at least 3/16 of an inch. Okay? So I'm gonna resurface that wheel right now, so you have an idea of what it should look like for that particular model of grinder. Now the newer machines have a grinding wheel that's made out of diamond, and it already has that shape cut out into it, right? So all you got to do is grind, move, grind, move, grind, move. The shape's already incorporated in that grinding wheel, and it's industrial diamond. Well, on my particular grinder, if the grinding wheel gets loaded up, well, if you look at it from sideways on a tooth, okay, I'll draw it a little bit bigger. let's say this is a tooth, right? Then this starts to smudge. You'll see this. The material that was removed sort of smudges over to one side. You know your wheel is loaded up. You got to resurface your wheel at that point because you want to see perfectly square edges and none of this on your blade. Okay, that's what I was getting to you or trying to tell you in the first place. I don't know where this section is going to end up in the video, so maybe you haven't seen it, me sharpening it, I don't know. But you want to avoid these slivers, so you have to resurface your wheel. Make sure you have a nice clean wheel. And that's on grinding wheels, sharpeners, not diamond wheel cutting tools. Or grinding tools. Okay, so I'm over here at the grinder, and this is what I have for a grinding a grinding tool. Almost looks like a razor. That surface has industrial diamond on it, and what you do is you brush it across the grinding wheel that way and on an angle to make the back side of your rake, and it should be level with this arm here like that when you're doing that. I'm going to be sharpening some blades today, and this is a cam type sharpener, and what happens is as it follows the cam it lifts the grinding wheel up and down, okay, and it's got a liquid pump to provide cooling while the sharpening is going on, and I'm just using antifreeze, regular antifreeze as a lubricant and grinding. There are probably more specifics, grinding solutions to this, but that's what I'm using. And well, I'm just going to get started. What I like to do is lubricate the tracks so the blade slides properly, you know. And there are adjustments, right? If I tilt my grinding wheel, I'm affecting the rake of the blade, okay? If my tooth was had no rake on it, positive or negative, just zero, right? Like on a cutting tool for a lathe or something. But they recommend 7 degrees for hardwood and 12 to 15 for softwood. Okay, so basically what I do is I've made some blocks with 15, 12, 5, 10, and 7, right? And all I do is put it under here and adjust it. My motor shaft is parallel to this flat surface or horizontal surface where the blade rides. So the tilt of the motor determines the amount of rake on the blade. If I said that correctly. I've got this adjusted to 10 because it's not really hardwood, but I'm cutting spruce, and it's sometimes it's frozen at this time of year. Okay. And what I like to do is I mark the number of times that it's been used. Normally you'll go 3 sharpens and then you got to do a blade adjust. Okay? And right there is the blade adjust, right? That arm compresses this piece here, and I check the deflection with the dial indicator. That's how you adjust the is it side rake, is it called? Like, you gotta bend your blades like this, right? You got one straight, one left, one right, and the amount of, it might be kerf, it's called kerf. The amount of kerf is normally around 21 thousandths of an inch. Okay, and when you go below 15, it's time to rebend that kerf, right? So now I've got the blade that needs a sharpening. First thing you got to do is inspect the blade to see if you hit any nails or not. If you hit a nail, you'll never get this blade tracking properly on the mill, right? You're going to get zigzags, and you'll never get a nice square piece of lumber. Or not the squareness, but the flatness of the lumber, or the surface that you're trying to mill. These are not double hardened, or they might be double hardened on the tip, but they're not I'm just going to check this quickly off screen. I'm limited on space here. This one seems okay. It can be resharpened. Okay, what you do is, I like to lift this up, and it's not a bad idea to get coolant flowing here. Right, lubricate this this bar. I can adjust different levels on different thickness of blades here by changing this pin different places. The blade rides on these two pins, right? Okay, so I've got some lubrication on there now. Okay, so now what I like to do is set this up so this should be dropping. Oh. Okay, so if I tighten it here, I'm lifting the wheel. I like to sneak up on things, right? That way you should only be taking off half a thou or minimal amount of material. You want to take some out of the gullet, because if not, you're going to end up with cracks here and you snap your blade, right? And you just want to take a minute off of the rake side and just trim the back side of that rake. Minute amount of material, as little as possible. That way your blade lasts longer. Now, if this blade had just come from cutting stuff, and there would be sap and sawdust stuck to it, you'd want to take that off. Then you can use a brass brush or something like that and just rub it off, okay? And then you go through this sharpening process, okay? Now, what I'm doing now is sneaking up on this measurement. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And get it started again. And I'll get you footage of adjusting the kerf later on. And maybe not in this video, but basically this is how this particular sharpener works. It's from the 90s, 90, 95, something like that.